introduction to estate plans and why your parents or the people who made these trusts that you're trustees of, why they went with the revocable living trust plans. So it's a three-step strategy to have a good estate plan that's going to work. You want to work with a counseling-oriented attorney. So for me, I just specialize in estate planning and elder law. So I'm able to sit down with my clients, your parents, and sit down and really talk with them and counsel them through their estate plan of what does their family look like, the dynamics, what kind of assets do they have, and really figuring out any specific details in their planning to make it so that way everything's laid out and it's going to work smoothly on incapacity and death. And you want to establish and maintain a professional updating program. So once you get an estate plan set up and get the revocable living trust set up, that's great, but you need to keep them updated so that they're going to work the way as intended. So what I mean by that is there's going to be changes in your personal life, right? Changes in trustees, or how you want things to pass down on death, or how you want assets handled on incapacity. Those could always change. So you want to make sure that you're in an updating program like this, life plan, or that you're going back to the attorney to get things updated. Because just because you have a trust, right, doesn't mean that it's just everything is going to automatically necessarily go that way. You've got to make those changes as they come up. Another thing is law changes, right? After you get it set up, there could be some law changes that happen. Tax law, non-tax law. The big one is the Minnesota estate tax exemption, right? So if that changes, that's why we're keeping an eye on your assets too in life plan and making sure that you're not above that estate tax exemption. So $3 million on each death in Minnesota, and it's going to stay that way for next year. And so then a married couple up to $6 million. So we're keeping track of that when you're in this updating program one of the big things that people do revocable living trusts is to avoid probate, right? Where you have the assets set where they're going to go on death in the trust so they don't have to go through the court process of probate. So if you don't have any assets, if you get new assets and you don't get those transferred to the trust, you might have to worry about probate. So that's another thing with updating your assets. And also back to estate tax planning is if your assets are growing in value, you're getting new assets over the years, and you get over that $6 million as a married couple, then we're letting you know, hey, maybe we should have a conversation and talk about some estate tax planning if you want to make sure that you have no Minnesota estate tax or as little as possible. So those are things with your assets that you want to make sure that the estate plan is going to work, is looking at the total value and making sure any other assets are getting transferred to the trust that you acquire later on after you get it set up. A little overview for those, refresher for those who don't know, with probate what we're worrying about is any assets that are in your individual name on death that's real estate of any value, and then other assets that total to over $75,000. So we're always making sure that if you get new real estate, that's something you want to update and let us know with. That if you didn't get it titled in the trust right away, that you let us know, and then in life plan, that's no additional charge, where we can help you get that to the trust. Or you're buying this piece of land and you want to get it titled to the trust right away. The title company or the attorneys you're working with to do that with that transfer, they can always contact us and we give them any information they may need. So we're always here to, that's what life plan is too, is we're always here to make sure that any new assets that you get stay transferred to the trust, and getting those there at no additional charge. Let's see here. So then with having this estate plan that works, and making sure that all your assets are in the trust on death, and making sure everything is going to pass down the way you want it to, the people who you want to be in charge are in charge, it's going to help with the lower costs on death, right? We're not having to worry about the extra costs for probate. And it just makes things go a lot smoother for the kids, for your trustees to know, okay, here's what we have to do, and it's just laid out, and they don't have to try to make decisions with other siblings and things, because that's where the family fights could come up. So it just makes things also go a lot smoother, less hassle for the kids and the trustees. Okay, I already went into probate a little bit. But for those of you who don't know, it's that court process. When I talked about assets that are in your individual name, even if you have a will, it has to go through probate if it's used. And that's where you look at how your assets are owned on death. Are they in your individual name, and what is that asset and what's the value? Because then the will would have to go through probate, the court process, to get it to the kids, the beneficiaries. So then you have to get an attorney that files paperwork with the court, and you have to wait for the court to sign papers, get it back to you, and then you got to publish in the paper about a hearing on the probate, so that way people who want to contest it, or creditors, have the opportunity to do so. So